We're the hardest working podcast in Portland, Oregon, man.
Play
No.
game.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Play No Games podcast. I'm your host, Rob.
Martha.
I'm Koss.
And we have an illustrious local legend on the show today.
Wow,
Legend, yeah. I'm a master journalist from time to time. And I found out some beautiful things about what this man has done in the community and what he's continually doing as well, whether that is in sports, academia, or working for the local church as well.
Wow.
I know some stuff. Master journalist. I know about that.
Oh, wow.
We got Coach Knox on the show today.
Welcome.
So before we get going, before we get into our very first segment or anything like that, what should the people know about Eric or Coach Knox before we get started today?
Man, I'm going to tell you flat out, I am a flawed, broken man on the real. And
Interesting.
And I hold truth with humility, never with pride. And that has helped me navigate life. You know what I'm saying? I'm a spiritual man, but like I said, I hold it with a lot of humility. And that has helped me navigate my work, community, relationships, nonprofits, coaching, academia, you name it. So, it's weird when you try to say that you're humble. I ain't humble, but I'm in touch with my brokenness, and that allows me to connect with people in a way that keeps me grounded.
Damn. I think we got, not gonna lie, y'all. We got it there.
Yeah.
That's perfect. But to let you kind of know the skinny of it, we kind of do a small game here and just a very brief update. And I'm going to pass it over to my good friend over there, and he's going to let you know what our very first segment is before we kind of get into things about you.
All right.
Our very first segment is called Play No Games. So it could be positive, it could be negative, it could be something that happened in your day. It could be anything you want, but all you got to say is, I play no games about this. And then you go ahead and speak to it. So
right,
we're gonna let the guest go first. That's you. We're gonna let the guest go first.
So you guys wait. So I play no game about
Anything you want. It could be anything. Positive,
Funny,
negative.
serious.
Yo.
okay.
It happened today. Something that's been on your mind.
I play no game about the work, the community work. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in a pretty tough home, and I was a kid that got kicked out of 3 different schools. In some ways, I felt like I had to raise myself, even though I had a mom around. But my mom lost her mom when she was young, so she had to raise herself because she wasn't mothered. And she did the best job she could do mothering us, but she had limited tools. And my pops, I love him. He was a straight hustler, from real estate to selling drugs. And he and I had a real bombastic relationship because I was like him, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like of all his kids, I represented him more than any of his kids. And sometimes I felt like the way he treated me, it was based on how he felt about himself. Yeah, like I always felt like, my dad used to beat me, like not spank me, but beat me. And I felt like whatever he didn't like about himself, he would do that to me. And so I grew up really as a child having to navigate like deep disappointment with adults. So then when I got into this work, I was naturally drawn to kids like me that come from the community. I'm from South Central, Inglewood, California. So I work with Black and brown kids from broken homes. And so I play no games when it comes to them because I felt to a certain degree that I was orphaned. And the kids I work with are orphans, and orphans know orphans, right? So, when it comes to their trajectory, I dive in deep. I dove into the deep end of the pool with these kids, and I'm about them taking that next leap in their life. And it can get exhausting. Sometimes emotionally, I can turn upside down. But I believe in the power and potential of Black and brown youth, and I play no games about it. Right? I believe in their potential. I believe they're abundant. I believe they're creative, and I believe. What else do I believe? I believe they're. Did I say abundant? I said creative, and they're brilliant, right?
Brilliant.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I tap into what's already there. I don't come to them with assumptions that our society places on those kids. And so I start from that. That's my sort of my why, my premise. That's what I play no games with. Does that make sense?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think kids are our present, and we look at them as our future. That's a mistake.
No doubt, man. Whoever you pay attention to grows. You know, people want to be seen. People want to be valued. And I try and stay in the moment with kids. I carve out my day for them. I make sure that my schedule, I got about 3-4 hours a day that is spontaneous so that when kids call and they need things, I'm present. You know what I'm saying? So I don't overbook myself so I can't be in the trenches with kids.
I think that's a dope perspective. Dope theory.
And from their perspective, it goes so far to have someone that they can talk to, especially as an adult. I know growing up, it was hard to, if going to public school, it's hard to have that one adult you feel like you could always talk to in that environment. So
yeah, and then when you with kids, you know, the reality is you gotta, you know, you walk that fine line between being tough and tender. You know what I'm saying? And I realize that, you know, in a lot of spaces, I'm a father figure, so you give them fatherly love, and you got to give them fatherly discipline.
Yes,
and so I straddle that fence and helping kids take that next step in their life, whether that's through coaching or through education or, you know, mentorship. You know, that's what drives me.
Hey, Cost, what you playing on games with?
All right, hard to follow that one up. Mine is more in the news type of deal. Actually has to do with kids as well.
Okay, let me hear it.
So I don't know if you guys know, if I say the name Hamzat Shemaev, does that ring a bell to anyone here? That's Hezbollah. Oh, okay. Same region though. So Hamzat is a fighter in the UFC from the region of Dagestan, Russia. Dagestan is known for being almost an independent republic in Russia. And their leader is called this guy named Ramzat Kadyrov, essentially best friends with Putin. But so Putin has allowed him to essentially rule over that region of Chechnya in Russia. Now Ramzat is a guy that loves sports. Hamzat represents that region very well in the UFC. So he gets Hamzat to come out, and recently on Instagram, Hamzat has posted pictures, him essentially sparring Ramzat's children, so the children of the dictator of Chechnya, sparring this UFC fighter, essentially beating him up in a way. And then it's this whole kind of PR thing he's doing, making the kids look good and all this stuff, but it just seems like it's very forced in a way, you know. It's politics, it's, hey, you know, just take a couple photos of my kids, huh? Yeah, and you won't have to go to the war in Russia. All this stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Why are they making these kids fight each other?
Probably, but no.
It's like dog fighting, but in Russia.
Yeah, in Russia they do have. That's funny. They do have. There are kid MMA fighters in Russia. There is a league for that as well. Okay. But no, these kids are pampered and whatnot. They're the kids of the leader. So, but you know, it's making them look good. You know, spar this UFC fighter and whatnot. And I saw that on Instagram. I thought that was interesting to bring up. Kind of, you know, different world.
So you play no games.
I play no games about nepotism.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, nepotism is real.
Nepotism is real.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. I love the devious look. What you playing no games with, Robert?
I'm not playing no games about. If y'all haven't known, we actually went mini viral. I'm not playing no games about our progress. We almost broke 20K on a view.
Wow. Okay.
We're actually like 6,000 away.
Views or subscribers?
Oh,
we are on subscribers.
Oh, they're definitely low. It's definitely low.
But hey, break the shot. Kudos for the 20,000. You got to get them subscribers up. Because that's where the money is.
Hey,
That's where the money is.
they get tired of me saying this. They get tired of me saying this.
Yeah.
The reason why I was really happy that we like broke that is because what I think like a lot of creators don't understand is like this is a grind and a hustle, and like it really put a lot of things in perspective to me. Where like if the right people post your stuff, you'll get to really see if you actually are making dope content or not, because it actually blew up and we got actually like real people responding, and it was so interesting from the positive to the negatives, and just to see all the hard work that we have done together as a team and a unit to be like, yo, if we get this marketing thing right, we already done it once. We could be something. Not trying to say we're trying to be a drink champs, because we're trying to be us. We're not trying to be flagrant. We're trying to be us. We're trying to be us because currently right now in this market, we got all these red pill people, you got all these blue pill people, and you ain't just got people talking about real stuff that's on their hearts. And people are really craving that. And I would say the only people that are close to us is Abba and Preach, because they talk about real stuff. But that's neither here nor there. So I want to play no games about our growth, and just overall, I'm just proud of what we're doing. Oh yeah.
G.
Hey.
Go. No game. Let's go.
I don't know if that's the hitty white, but I like this.
Okay.
I like
Hey,
this.
man, this is what I'm talking about.
So
This is what you do. You get us liquored up. Shit that we gonna later regret.
Hey, if we go viral, we go viral. But yeah.
Are you allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, fucking yeah.
You what? Okay.
so I'm playing no games with. I think just this opportunity to really like expand. I think we've brought on great guests that can really take the show to the next level. We brought on different people with different perspectives. People have given us feedback, kind of similar to what Robert is saying. The growth process has been kind of amazing just to sit back and watch just like the reaction of different people. I heard from someone today that they watch our show every day. Every time it comes out, you listening. And the critique was, we need more females.
Oh, I got
okay.
Females, where y'all at?
Wait,
trying to put you on the show. What's up?
Hopefully this is the right button. Yeah, if you're listening to this, there we go. The reason why I'm saying this, let me tell this person, if you watch weekly, I schedule, and I can also account for AJ too. We schedule like 2 to 3 women, like monthly. And you know what happens? I'm afraid. What happens? Ghosted, dead. Y'all women need to step up. We ain't trying to trick you or do some DJ academic stuff. Like, we ain't about that. Like, we're trying to have real conversations. So, women, we want you on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's change gears. I got my master journalist hat on right now. And I think I want to start with, I want to say congratulations, because you beat this black man to doing what he's been trying to do for 10 years.
What's that?
You built a school, because Dr. Umar still
Umar Johnson? Nobody know what he did with that money.
He's trying to.
Nobody know what he did. He's still out there collecting money for a school that don't exist.
It actually exists now, kind of.
Does it? How?
Oh, well, he's looking for some black electricians.
Man, he always looking for something. Man. I love Umar. He's smart. He's brilliant. He's well spoken, but I'm still waiting for the school. 10 years in to get off the road.
So I just want to say, because you beat him to it, and I feel like this is a great way and great segment to kind of talk about
all right
what you do. And one of the things you did is you have a K-5, and I guess we'll just open it up. Where did that start? Where did that come from?
Man, the reality is that black and brown and native kids are languishing, right? They falling through the cracks, and we just pushing them from grade to grade. They can't read, they can't write, they struggle academically. And frankly, the school system wasn't built for them. That's the reality. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that, about 6 years into our organization as a mentor. I got tired of mentoring kids that couldn't read, couldn't write, were disinterested. And I understood their brilliance, their creativity, how abundant they were, right? So it wasn't like they didn't have any of those things, but they had been so typecast by, a system that narrowly defines who they are believed to be. And so I was like, you know what? I'm done with that shit, man. Let's not play it safe. So in the heart of the pandemic, I told our staff, man, we ain't gonna play it safe. We gonna, whatever money we have in our savings account, we were going to put a dope curriculum together and go for this. And it cost us about $150,000 to put a team together to write the curriculum. It damn near almost bankrupt our organization, but I believed in our babies. And so, November 17th, after a bunch of iterations going back and forth with the rental school district about this school, because a lot of people thought, I don't know, y'all hip to the Proud Boys, right? They wrote, or you can Google me and the Proud Boys and you'll see articles written about it. And, the thing was, well, is he taking us back to segregation, right? Because he wants a culturally specific curriculum and educational model that centers Black and brown and Native American kids. But the reality is that white kids are centered, right? Like, I grew up, only folks I knew about was Dr. King and George Washington Carver. And that was it. And I want our Black kids not to just learn about our pain, but also about our brilliance, like who we were prior to the transatlantic slave trade. I wanted our kids to learn about, how this country was built on the backs of brilliant Black folks out of their own oppression. So I decided, again, I was going to swing for the fence. I was going to get this school off the ground. I didn't care if it was going to bankrupt me. I didn't care what people really had to say. And, it took me a good year and a half, 2 years to, go back and forth with the rental school district. And we did it. We got it off the ground. We raised the funds. We didn't go bankrupt. In fact, we just got a CSP, which is a charter school grant. Like, there are only 6 schools in this country that got this charter school grant, which is $800,000 that was given by the feds to us because they believe in what we're doing. So we're here. We're about 6 weeks in. We've got Black and brown teachers. Our books, our library, our literacy library, it is 90% written by authors of color. And it's dope. So we put our money where our mouth is. And here we are in Rockwood, in East County, making this shit happen.
I got a book suggestion for you.
Yeah.
$100 Million Slave. Have you read
it? Is it by athlete? I read that book.
Yeah.
Is it $100 or $40 million?
$40 million slave.
$40 million. Yeah.
Yeah, you got carry the 60.
It's a great book.
I think you spoke on aspects of that. I had that same experience going to predominantly white schools.
Yeah.
Growing up, I moved to Texas for my junior year of high school, and I was taking some freshman classes when I was there, and I had learned more about Black history in the time that I was there than in my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And for me, it was eye-opener to when I came back. It was frustrating being in class because I was like, I didn't know half anything that was being talked about. And this was a freshman class. Yeah. And so for you to even re-emphasize that and put that in perspective is this education system has been broke, has been, been not for us. And Oregon already on top of that has one of the worst educational systems in the United States.
Yeah, period.
So that just adds an extra oomph to the importance of what you're doing. And I hope people understand that Oregon's education system is one of the lowest. So.
Period.
Yeah.
And then Black, brown, and Native kids, even worse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In terms of just math, reading, proficiency, just horrible. 10%. Matriculation to graduation, horrible. So we want to do something about that. And our school is probably about 70% African American kids, about 20% Latinos, and about another 10% Native American kids, and they love it. They love it.
What has been the reaction from parents for 6 weeks?
They love it. It's unique. USA Today says Portland is the whitest mid-sized city in America. So for our kids to go to a Black predominantly black school in Oregon is big. It's like an HBCU for K-5 in Oregon. You know what I'm saying?
You got a drum line there?
Yeah, for real. We will have a drum line, you know? But we doing some really culturally specific dope stuff for our kids. You know, like we focus on literacy. You know, kids got to be able to read, got to be able to write. But we also focus on STEAM. We focus on agriculture. We focus on entrepreneurship because we want our kids to learn how to hustle. We're going to have a stock account at some point where every kid that comes to the school will get $1,000 stock and crypto account. So by the time they graduate, they're going to have paper, right? That they can utilize to identify assets in their community, to use those resources, see how money works in their own community. So we do an entrepreneurship, not so you can get paid, but how do you uplift the community? How do you use your resources, not just for you, but how do you use it for your brothers and sisters in the community? I could be doing a whole lot of other shit in my life than being in the hood serving our kids. But at the end of the day, I choose meaning over money, right? And I'm way more fulfilled choosing meaning. And most folks in our capitalist system are trained to choose money over folks, right? Yeah. To choose profit over people.
100%.
I choose people over profit. And I'm telling you, my cup runneth over.
Absolutely.
Man, there's like an epidemic of like young boys getting beards and stuff. So there might be, you know, one of those Sonics cap, you know, that enroll in your school, you know, $1,000 in stocks.
Yo.
Man, watch out for that kid.
Hey, man, blood's in the street. The stock market's down. The crypto market's down. This is the time you start investing. This is where you make your money right now, right? While the blood's in the street, everybody's panicked. This is where you can start preparing the ball. Right?
Yeah. Like one of the things, because, you know, obviously, you know, we have like in our archives, like that conversation from like the barber about, I really appreciate it, is just like that community aspect and like that you are right. Like I have countless stories and I know I joke about it. I'm not going to say the joke, but I remember in my like freshman high school class, Don Johnson, I love you, my man. But there's one kid who couldn't read and like, you know, he was like one of those thug gangsters, and like Mr. Johnson was like one of those teachers from higher learning, and like it's not funny, but like he was like read out loud and he couldn't, and like we shouldn't have laughed, but we did. But like it's just like so depressing because Mr. Johnson, even though you know he was doing the best he could to reach him, was the only person to like force that kid to be like, yo, you need this resource. And I know if other teachers would have had that same, not like how Johnson did it, but like that care when he was younger, he could have had that skill earlier. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, man, you just have such a beautiful mind. And I guess this kind of opens up where I know the school is one aspect, but you also talk about mentorship. Like I was a part of the Perspective Gents Club, so I'm like
that was bomb in the 90s. Man, Perspective Gents was bomb in the 90s. Was you wearing the bow tie and all that?
I know my Swahili.
Okay.
So
I forget the dude that ran that. What was his name? I love
Kevin Fuller.
Kevin Fuller. He in Texas now, ain't he?
Indeed he is.
Yeah.
So reason why I want to bring that up is because mentorship is such a big thing that I think a lot of Portland schools like drop the ball on. Like I agree boys and girls clubs is important, but like that mentorship in the school, because I saw that you work with kids from all the way from like K to 18, and that's really big to have that personal one consistent person in your life. So I just wanted to ask, how did mentorship go into building the school that you're with and just the mentorship program?
Well, let me explain mentorship because I think people get it confused, especially culturally specific mentorship. I'm going to tell you a real simple story and I'm going to try and distill this shit down. All right. But I'm a storyteller, right? Because I think story is what we resonate with. So my my grandma, she's a Jewish woman. Actually, her parents started NAACP in San Francisco. And my mom's dad grew up in the housing tenements in Harlem in the 20s and 30s, right? He was a brilliant writer. They grew up in the house, Harlem in the 20s and 30s, the housing projects. It was like off the chain. My Jewish grandmother grew up again in Nob Hill, San Francisco. So I always say I got Jewish and Black blood in me. I got the sufferings of two people in me, right? So I couldn't help but do what I do today. And so my grandmother, my Jewish grandmother, went to NYU for art.
Oh, wow.
And my grandfather was a ghostwriter in the South. And he was dope with that pen. So he got a scholarship. They heard about this Black boy in Harlem that could write. So they gave him a scholarship. He was brilliant. So he went to NYU. They met at NYU and fell in love. Now, can you imagine in the 30s, she was like pasty white Jewish woman. He was a super dark-skinned Black man. And they fell in love, wanted to get married. But at that time, there were laws where you could only get married in 2 or 3 different states. So they was like, fuck that, let's just move to Mexico City. So he went to Mexico City with her. They got married. He was an educator. She got plugged into a fucking art community. That's important. Remember that.
All right.
So my mom was the oldest of all her siblings, and they were having a play date. And the dad was a doctor who came to pick up my mom's friend, who was his daughter, from this play date at my mom's house in Mexico City. And when he came to the door, my grandmother, my mom's mom, answered, and he happened to be a doctor, and he noticed a lump on her breast. And he said her name was Elizabeth. He said to Elizabeth, hey, Elizabeth, you need to get that lump on your chest checked out. That's very concerning. So she went and got it checked out. Turned out that she had breast cancer. They gave her 3 months to live. She died like 6 weeks later.
Oh, shit.
But she was in an art community. And a man gave her 2 paintings. Remember that? 2 paintings at the funeral. Said, this reminds me of your grandma, your mom. I want you to have these paintings. She was a brilliant artist. My grandfather, her dad, was so broken and crestfallen that he lost his wife that he stayed back in Mexico City for 2 years. And his sister, my mom's aunt, came and picked up the kids and took them to LA. And just to kind of get resettled and kind of restart their life again without their mom. Fast forward, I grew up, my mom married, she went through her divorce, but man, growing up, she had those 2 paintings on the wall. And them paintings was ugly as shit, to be honest. I didn't see really any value in those paintings. But she loved the paintings because they reminded her of her mom. Well, when I went off to college, I was playing basketball at Oregon State. Turned out that she had lost her job and she fell behind on her mortgage payment. She was losing her house. And my mom back then in Inglewood was sort of like known as Mother Teresa of the neighborhood. She did, that's why I always like the work that I do today. My dad was a hustler and my mom was like Mother Teresa. And I always say the work that I do today, I get my hustle from my dad and my heart from my mom. And I put those 2 things together. And so my mom used to always do these block parties in the neighborhood, and she would get community leaders to talk about what they wanted to do for the block party. They get the permits, they shut the blocks down. And so I grew up in that kind of environment. My mom used to do that stuff, and I watched her. And she would get the community leaders to meet at her house. She would cook a great meal, and they would talk about what they were going to do. And this time, she lost her job. She fell behind on her payments, and she's facing foreclosure. And one of her good friends at the end of the block had just moved out, and a new family moved in. And so she's broke, getting ready to lose her house, but she decides that the block party must go on. She still got to cook this meal, and this new family just moved on the block. And my mom, being the Mother Teresa of the neighborhood, goes down and invites them to this function so that they get to meet some of the neighbors.
Yeah.
They came to the house. And my mom like heavy into movies. She used to always collect DVDs of all kinds. She's a movie aficionado. And she loved doing these little art projects. So she's showing this couple around her house as they're getting ready for this meal. And my mom comes to these 2 paintings and says, hey, these were 2 paintings that this man gave me. And they remind me of my mom right before she died. They gave funeral, and I've held on to them. And the husband looked at the signature at the bottom of the artist, and it was Diego Rivera.
Oh, shit.
You know, Carlo Fiere? Isn't it? No, Carlo Rivera, is it?
It's like
They did a bit of art gallery thing for her. She was the wife of. So Diego Rivera, if
he's a
Google him,
artist.
his paintings are worth millions.
Yeah.
He was a socialist, right, in Mexico City. He was very controversial. He was like sort of like almost a Malcolm X of Latin America. And his paintings are worth millions. He gave my mom those 2 paintings that he did. My mom didn't know didn't know the significance of who he was. To make a long story short, this guy happened to be, who just moved in with his wife, happened to be an art appraiser.
Damn.
And he goes, these paintings were made by Diego Rivera? She goes, yeah. You know, it's Claudia. My mom's name is Claudia. He's Hispanic. He goes, Claudia, these paintings will change your life. You sell these, you'll be rich. My mom is struggling. She's going to lose her house. So my mom takes one of the paintings, sells it at an art auction on Sunset Boulevard called Bottoms and Brothers Work for an insane amount of money. Mm-hmm. Got her out of her situation. And I laugh at my mom because I said, what did you do when you learned the real worth of those paintings? She's like, baby, I bought me a gun. Because Bottoms and Brothers was every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday is when she learned this on a Friday. So she guarded those paintings until Tuesday because she knew that them paintings was going to change her life. Yeah. So she sold one and it changed her life, got her out of her circumstance, and she good, right? Mm. I grew up, those were just paintings on a fucking wall to me. But once I saw like the real value of that painting, and once my mom understood the real value of the painting and the artist who painted them, her interaction with the fucking painting changed. Mm. So when I think about like mentorship, our black kids don't know their history. They don't know the true value they fucking worth. You know what I'm saying? So when your mentor comes along and says, let me tell you your history and put you on game, how you interact with yourself and how you navigate society and your community fucking begins to change. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like I'm an art appraiser, right? I'm helping you. I'm appraising your culture and showing you the real worth of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a real mentor does, is say, yo, Rob, let me tell you who you really are. Not what society's told you. Let me tell you who you really are. And I built a school, a mentoring organization, and that's how I show up in my community, is being that kind of appraiser, really showing the true value of explaining our kids' true value and worth. And that changes how they interact with themselves and each other and the community that they live in.
So I think that goes into my question.
Yes.
One of my questions. I said, being a transplant, how did you put your stamp on Oregon and being a leader in Oregon? Like,
you know what I did? You know, North and Northeast Portland, we eat our own. Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't want to give me no flowers here. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't native to North and North.
Yeah.
I'm from LA. That's the LA dude, right? Mm. But I just kept showing up. Period. You know, year after year, decade after decade. And actually, I felt that I wasn't embraced until I became the high school girls basketball coach at Benson High School, and we won a fucking state championship. And it was, you know, Black Portland love their sports. And when something is successful and Black, they gonna ride and die for it. Yep. And we got successful and blew up.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you know, they could not hate the game, right? Like I felt embraced.
Why do you think? Why does you think in Portland it takes success in order for somebody to be liked?
Bro, it's our society, bro. We've been socialized to hate each other. And we think from a scarcity mentality. We don't think from abundance. They don't. That's the sad part about our Black community, right? We don't think there's enough for all of us. There's only enough for me. You know what I'm saying? And Black Portland embodies that. It happens in LA. It happens across this country, but it is exacerbated here in North and Northeast Portland. But I'm going to do me. You got to be, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do me. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't going to be that dude that say, I don't give a shit what people think, because if you don't care what people think, you become a fucking Hitler, a megalomaniac. You got to care what people think. I just don't care what people think that much. You know what I'm saying? And I don't let that dictate how I navigate doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, you know, when you real and authentic and you own who you are, which I did, I don't know if you ever Googled and see, you know, me as a coach, but I started wearing these crazy ass fucking suits.
Yep. I coached against you. I know.
Oh, you did? Where were you at?
McDaniel.
You was at McDaniel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I coached against you.
Okay. You know, I coached at McDaniel.
I heard a while ago.
I coached the boys.
Okay.
We was terrible as shit. It was 4 years of hell. It was a big time learning shit. And McDaniel has a culture unto itself.
Yeah. And that's also another one of my questions is, when did you switch from guys to girls? Like, what made you switch?
And you know what? God, the universe. I didn't pick it, it picked me.
Interesting.
When I moved, you know, this is my second stint in Portland.
Yeah.
I've been back 10 years ago. When I moved back, Curtis Wilson, principal of Benson, he had heard that I just moved back, and he was trying to rebrand Benson. And the sports programs had fallen off. I didn't know that. You know, back when I was at McDaniel, Benson was it, sports.
Yep.
So when I got back here, I didn't know that. And he had told me like months after I got back that he said a coaching job came available at Benson. Did I want it? I was like, hell yeah. But I thought he was talking about boys. He didn't say the gender. He just said the coaching job came available.
Got you.
So I went up to the school, and he was like, I know you think that you're getting the boys job, but it's actually talking about the girls job. And I went and talked to my pastor, because I never coached girls. I felt a certain way, not because I was like discriminative of gender. It was because I never coached girls before. And I talked to my pastor, I prayed about it, and my pastor said to me, he goes, I don't see why you won't take the job. The mission is still the same. You want to work with Black kids. The only difference is the gender, not the mission. So I took the job, and I said, I'll do 1 year to help you get this girl program. And I'm 10 years.
Jeez.
10 years in, and bro, this year, straight up, we'll see what happens if we don't trip over ourselves and the parents stay out the way and the kids don't fight over it. Because that's a whole nother combo.
Yeah.
Bro, they stay out the way, we got a chance of being top 25 in the country. That's the challenge I got to my girls. Okay. I got girls that can straight ball.
Yeah,
I have a kid named Mahogany Chandler Robert.
Yep.
You know who she is?
Yes, I do.
Bro.
She's like 6'4", tall, just mean,
can move,
can shoot, left hand, right hand over the shoulder.
Yes.
Don't name it.
Yeah, like soft hands, you know, agile feet, and great.
Just throw it up, she'll go get it.
Yeah, she just played. And then I got guards that, you know, Mariana Hashimi and Org. I mean, she got Kyrie handles. I got this kid named Ebony Clay, who bananas is blowing up. Right?
That's a defensive prowess.
Yeah, we got Liv, Hink, like just kids that can just do this damn thing. So we branded Black girl basketball in Oregon. And it's something to ball.
How have you found the difference between coaching boys and girls?
Man, you know what the difference is? You know, like, there's a lot. Let me just distill it down. Yeah. For boys, they're always trying to put a twist on what you're trying to, like, they're hard headed. You know, but boys walk in the gym, they hoop to feel good. Girls got to feel good to hoop.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's real talk. And girls are, you know, interdependent. Like, girls walk in the gym and they want to, from my experience, I don't want to speak on behalf of the female gender, but from my 10-year experience, girls walk in the gym and they want to fit in. So they passing the ball, not showcasing. their greatness. Boys walk in and they trying to dunk on your ass to fit in. You know what I'm saying? They trying to bust people's ass to fit in. Girls are trying to, pass, almost dumb down their game to not rock the boat, fit in. And then once they get warmed up, but girls, I will say this, girls are very little, from my experience. Like they're going to run the offense. And I'm like, wait, you got a driving lane, but you said we got to swing the ball. I said, no, we're not beholden to the offense. Creates opportunity for us to hoop basketball, jazz, it's a cipher. Like it's like a hip hop cipher. You got to get creative and find those opportunities and exploit them, right? We're not ball. This is not sheet music. Sometimes they'll treat the game like it's sheet music and literally try and do what you're telling them to do and give up an open shot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Oh no, wow.
See, this is what happens when y'all give me this white Hennessy.
It's been fermented.
That's man, this is a good white Hennessy.
Hey, I know how to store it. I got my whole...
I'm not slurring right now.
Nope.
No, I feel right.
Welcome to the Play-Doh Games podcast. You feel right here.
All right.
I want to globalize this a little bit because we've talked about this heavily because one of our like pillars there is like, how do you have conversations with people? We're like, how you broke it down when it comes to coaching boys, from coaching women, things like that. A lot of people don't know how to have that conversation. So right now, currently, WNBA, it struggles with people watching. And let's just say a lot of people have things to say. Draymond Green, Lisa Leslie, and everyone says this or that. One of the things we've always talked about on the show is like the marketing aspect. Like, I don't know the stories of these people, like Skylar Diggs, because, for other reasons, I know her story. But it's...
She's pregnant. She's having another child.
Surprise, guys. Not my dad. But it's like, from your tenure and experience, what do you think is the missing gap? Because we've talked about it's management and them not taking in ownership for the women they have. But like, what do you think? Because you're more in it than us. Why do you think it's such a struggle for the general population to get in on women's basketball?
Well, I think it's growing. Like the entrance of it from where it started in the mid-'80s to where it is right now, people are appreciating skill. And girls have always been ahead of the game when you compare it to boys or men when it came to skill. And like Stephen Curry has, to my opinion, revolutionized the game, right? Like him and people shit on Kyrie Irving. Right? Kyrie Irving has the most.
You didn't show it tonight, but
but like skill is now precedent. Girls have always been skilled, right? They weren't high flyers, so they had to do. You say the riches are in the niches. The niches of girls basketball, the fact that it was a skill game, and now people are catching up to it because of Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, and now you go and watch the girls game. Like that people, are now a basketball aficionado. They see the game through a different lens.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the girls' game is evolving. Right. Like I think there is much more money. The NBA still carries it. There's still, that argument about why aren't the girls getting paid like the men? Well, that's to me a dumb argument. You know what I'm saying? Like the WNBA is just not paying for itself. The NBA is paying for it. But it is evolving and it is growing.
And I think a huge part, especially the last couple of years, is you could tell the NBA kind of getting NBA stars to go to these games, wearing WNBA hoodies, gear, all this stuff.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe played a huge part in women's basketball as well, but I think that's definitely like boosted it. And now, like on social media, you're seeing a lot more, I feel like, of the women's game than we did 3, 4, 5 years ago. Sure.
I also think now that the skill level for women's basketball is starting earlier. It used to be like later on, and there's always like a dominant woman in most teams. that were just better than the rest. And now it's starting to really level the playing field out, like most men's games are now. Like I always compare it to be like there's always like a really good few on a team and then really kind of poor, and now it's starting to be balanced to where it's like there's skill across the board on women's teams now, and like especially as you get into the WNBA and college level, it's like most of those women is beating dudes easy, and like I'll tell you a story. I had a full dose experience of this a few years ago. I was at 24 Hour Fitness playing basketball. Guarding this, came in again, got on the team, and they're like, "Oh, you got to guard her." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And she came out and busted my ass and scored all 15 points.
Oh, yeah.
And come to find out, she was a professional player overseas, and I didn't know, couldn't tell. Like lefty just gave me the business, and everyone just laughed. Everyone knew, and I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, "I'm some guarder, whatever, like whatever." Busted my ass, like. I'm vicious. Yes. And I gave her nothing but respect after. I mean, I gave her respect ahead of time, but I gave her nothing more than respect after that. It was crazy.
Oh yeah. And girls, yeah, I mean, game, like I said, is evolving. Girls can, people are finding out they've been, mm-hmm. And so, you know, I watching it. Like you couldn't pay me to go back to the boys. I did 9 years on the boys' side. I loved it. Don't even.
Last year was my first year coaching girls.
What level?
Varsity. And it changed my whole perspective too.
You was with Chelsea? Mm-hmm. Are you back?
We'll see. I haven't said anything yet.
So, you know, I gotta throw it out there. So actually shout out to the new contract to the TNT guys. They make watching basketball hilariously fun for me. Shout out to them. And one of my big people to actually, you speak, in my opinion, no cap or no D right or anything like that, but like how you carry yourself, the energy you bring has very like Shaq energy. And Shaq energy is like, he's for all people. He's all for getting, you know, people in the right positions. And one of the things, because I know from just watching how this person carries himself, Jack wants women basketball to succeed. He said this like 2 years ago about like lowering the rim or the hoop or anything like that. What would you say to something like that? Do you find that would be something that's disrespectful, or would you find that something that would just add to, just like you said, the skills they have, allowing more women to dunk and having that ability?
I mean, would it spice up the game? Sure. Would it change the innocence and purity of the game? Like, you can't just like be on 10-foot rims in middle school, high school, college, and then 8-foot. Oh, so it would feel weird to me. I'm a basketball purist, so I like 10-foot rims. It would feel weird. But it would make it entertaining. But again, I think girls basketball, I don't know if girls are going to dunk like boys. I think girls' niche is just their skill. I think keeping the game the way it is and allowing the trajectory and growth of it to continue the way it is, I don't think it'll ever catch the boys. I don't think it's going to be the same kind of money, but it's going to be some money. So I'm more of a basketball purist. I would love for it to stay the way it is. And I think, like right now, I'm going to tell you flat out, Benson girls basketball, this year is taking over the city. If you went to the Benson girls and Jeff girl basketball game, did you go to that game?
Yes, I did.
To go to the state tournament?
Yes, I did.
Did you see how packed that was?
I just didn't in top nosebleed session.
Well, I'm trying to tell you, they hit me up already. All right, the PIO athletic office, because they plan to move that game this year to the Child Center. That's 5,000 people.
Wow.
Because of that kind of interest. So it is a girl-female takeover, and we didn't have to lower the rims to make that happen.
Oh, there you
go. I kind of have like to give you your token, because I feel like there's really been like two AAU Oregon teams that kind of dominated this whole women's basketball. And now you guys are competing, the Vince and Jeff kind of matchup. And like, I have to give you all your kudos because it's always been that matchup that's brought in people since sixth grade. I remember watching you guys play sixth grade wise and just them going head on.
Yeah.
And it's always been fun to see those girls grow in this game. And now that they're in high school and they're all about the same age, which is crazy, this doesn't shock me at all. Moving to the child center, and I was talking to somebody about it. They're like, this reminds me of the old Jeff Grant games that used to be played at the child center when it was packed out, and you had to play it in the child center. And I feel like that's what you guys have brought that back, and I think there's a love and a joy to the city because of the girls' basketball that y'all have done.
I mean, and you have to consider the moment. Right?
Yeah,
we live in a Me Too mode,
true,
right? And a strong push for women being seen, valued, and you're talking Black girls in Oregon, and I tell my girls, like on the boys' side in Oregon, like people have seen Black basketball on the boys' side, and Jeff has been doing it for a long time. That it's just is a predominantly Black girl basketball, dominating the sport the right way at the highest classification. Now, Jeff girls, 2011, 2012, they won it like at the 5A level, but I'm talking about the 6A level, right? Yeah. They, like Benson did it in 2019. And so that's been huge like I tell my kids, like on the girls' side, you used to have the Oregon Cities and the St. Mary's and the Central Catholic. On the girls' side, people used to like seeing girls basketball as a white program. Like those are the powerhouses. Then this Black girl basketball, the highest class, everything. And to be honest with you, people didn't like it. They didn't like it at all. So I came in with one mission. The Oregon Cities, the St. Mary's, and places like that, they develop basic Becky's, right? I developed basic Brandies, all right?
You can laugh, guys.
I developed basic Brandies. You know what I'm saying? And my theory was this. Becky's can get real skilled with what they do. And they were just beating all our sisters. The reality is they were just too skilled. The IQ was just, they were just been trained from a young age. I told when I first got to Benson, I said, we're going to develop basic Brandies, which means we're going to do everything that Becky did. We're going to train just like her. And then we're going to have our athleticism that they ain't got. I'm sorry, fellas.
I'm just keeping
it. And you know what? Once we take off what Becky's good at, because Brandy got it, right? Becky can't take what Brandy got off the table. That's athleticism. What you call it, right?
That's true.
See,
and so that's been the formula. Like we don't rely on our athleticism speed. We use it. We rely on the skill work. Getting up 4 or 5 morning train. That's why I can only drink a little bit of this pure white Hennessy. Because I got to get up at 4 a.m.
What? I don't know. I don't know what's up in them
I got to get up at 4 a.m. because I got to meet a lot of girls at the gym, like real early before school to get it in.
Damn.
So this all makes sense because before he got his nickname, the Glove, you probably call him the Mittens, right? Because this is how he talking. This is how you probably talking to Mr.
GP?
Of course. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
My teammate, my backcourt mate.
Yeah. So master journalist here, didn't take too much digging. But is the story true? Did you have some words with Mr. GP himself?
Absolutely. And GP, he knows. He's from Oakland. I'm from South Central. And I'm, we always treat cats in the bay like they was little brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We always treat them like little brother. So, yeah, we squared off. So, you know, Gary, anytime he made a mistake, he wanted you to know that it was your mistake, not. And we was in like some drill. It was a 3-on-3 drill. They threw the ball behind me, and it went out of bounds. And I played for Legendary. We both played for Legendary coach Rob. And Rob was like, no joke. And so, you know, Gary was, I think, pissed that he threw the ball behind me, but tried to blame me for it. And he looked at me crazy. Gary had this stare. He would look at his team. He would never do that shit with me because I was not happy. But he tried to stare on me. Yeah. And I stared back at him like, nigga, like, come on now. So I walked back to the back of the line because we was in like a drill, and then a ball hit my heel.
Yeah.
I turned around, and I realized that he had threw the ball at me. And I ran full speed at Gary, and a bunch of my teammates tackled me. I had about 9, 10 of them. They had me on my back at Gill Coliseum where we played. And Gary backed up into the bleachers, like, just yelling, "That nigga E-Rock, let him go. Let him go. That nigga crazy. That nigga crazy. Well, let him go." And I'm like, boy, you better hope they don't let me. And me and him just kind of developed, just a healthy respect. You know, I was always sort of the mediator between Gary and the team, between the team and Gary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was always the team captain. Gary didn't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? He and I had this understanding. And I loved him, man. He was my little bro. I got mad respect for that guy. But he knew that I was nothing to play with. You know what I'm saying? And so, and he's one of my, we meet at Binks all the time, right? A little bar right there on Alberta. Probably once every 6, 7 months, and have drinks and laugh about a lot of things, among other that incident.
That's funny.
I wanted to bring that up because I'm like, we, to us common folk, we know Gary as no nonsense, he about to, say some stuff. But to you, how do you view that when you see like how, his reputation versus you? Because clearly he didn't son you.
No, he didn't son me at all. Gary's a good dude. The reality is he had an amazing dad, Mr. Mean. And his dad, Mr. Payton, did not play. You know what I'm saying? So Gary was very grounded. He talked a lot of shit, and he'd get in your head if you allowed him to. And that was his strength. I mean, he's from East Oakland. Yeah. He was East 14th Street, right? And so, like, part of how Gary got himself going was talking shit to you. I remember we played Arizona State, and we was warming up. And usually when we played in games, like the student section would show up early and taunt us. Yeah. So we was warming up, and then I heard all this ruckus in the crowd. And I noticed Gary wasn't in the warm-up line anymore. That fool was up in the student section squaring off with the students before the game.
Not the mouse in the
I had to go up there and say, "Gary, come on. We can't be fighting this. We got to get back there and get ready for this game." But that was GP. You know what I'm saying? And so his bark was much bigger than his bite. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Blazer fan here.
Yes.
How does GP feel about his son being in Portland?
I have not talked to him about it, but I'm sure he loves it. He got a great contract.
Yeah. He did get a great contract.
Over 3 years. I'm sure he loves it.
Yeah.
Seeing that his son is paid.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? I think, Gary's a fan. Anyone is going to take it. That's the problem.
Okay. Absolutely.
He's going to be a fan of whatever.
That's awesome. Hope to see him at the Oda.
Oh, most definitely. Well, at this time, this is when things get a little bit saucy, spooky. And at this time, because like you were asking at the beginning, we do a lot of like popular culture, how to have real conversations, but at our roots, we like to talk about relationships because, like you said, and every master journalist keeps a manifesto. And I want to quote somebody. I don't know if they're here or not, but they said, if you don't see yourself in the education model, representation, because there's not a lot of guys talking about relationships and how to move that forward. And I want to kind of open this up to some relationship talk. And that would just have to be just one. One of the things that you said that really resonated in this show, you was talking about just Black Portland and like supporting. And that actually is like in the dating market, in the dating pool. And I kind of want to ask you as an old head, because, you know, we got some single guys in here. How do you view the dating market and culture? Because, you know, I see what's on your hand. I know you taking care of, but how do you see us young bucks in this dating market? How do you view that?
How do we navigate that?
How do you feel about the current dating market, or how would you navigate it?
Man, I don't know if I would want to be single, bro.
That's what every married person says, especially today.
You know, I mean, the bottom line is, but I will say this, regardless of what generation you're in, I mean, relationships take work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot of compromise. And you got to understand, love is not conditioned on feelings, right? Like when you say your vows, like you're making a covenant with your spouse and yourself that for sickness and in health, richer for poor. You know, like those are things that you are making a commitment to down the road.
Yeah.
When all the ooey gooey feelings wither away.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I just say, like, there's so many folk that have a misconception of what a real relationship is. You know what I'm saying? They always say that first 18 months, you know, the endorphins are flowing in your body. But after that, man, you got to live in the real work of trying to make this relationship be sustainable. And I've been at it for 26 years. 26 years waking up to the same woman. Congrats. And it ain't, you know, it's been great and it's been tough. We've been to the mountaintop, we've been to the valley. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I would always tell y'all, if you're going to get in a relationship, you got to have two people that learn how to be successfully single if you want to be successfully. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of folks get into relationships because there's something broken in them and they think that person's going to fix in them, but they don't have the ability to fix. You know what I'm saying? And so there's something powerful about learning how to be content, single, and being successful in it. That, and when you find someone that's equally committed to that kind of thing, man, that is to me a recipe for a healthy, successful. So when I say it, I know you probably hear that from a lot of folks that say, I wouldn't want to be married. I mean, there's just so much temptation. There's social media. There's so much shitty ass messaging about what relationship looks like. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it ain't got shit to do with what that person, I mean, that might get you in the door what a person looks like. They might have a dope personality. It might get you in the door, but it ain't. You know what I'm saying? It's two people committed to loving each other in spite of each other at times. You know what I'm saying? Like me and my wife go deeper in our relationship. Not when things are going well. Not when we take a trip to Dominican Republic. Shit's going bad. And shit has gone bad for us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, I ain't no pro at it. I hold relationship very humble. Like it's the most humble, outside of parenting, being married is the most humbling thing I can do. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have no roadmap. My parents were divorced when I was young. All my boys in the neighborhood didn't have their parents together. I'm brailing my way through this. You know, even though I'm 26 years into it, you know, there's a lot of shit that comes up in you in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? That is unearthed, that forces you to deal with stuff. And the one most important thing that I've learned about relationship.
Just oh damn!
This is the most important in my eyes. You we've been running our whole life. Like, if you don't like your roommate, you go get another. If you don't like your job, you change it. If you don't like the city, you bounce. If you really want to grow as a human being and you in a relationship, you can't run, right? Like, you committed to this one, right? And you're committed to your growth and her growth. And I've ran from everything my whole entire life. I got out of it. And this was one of the few things that I was committed to not running anymore. And marriage is not just about confronting what's in your wife or your spouse. It's about confronting what's in you and getting healed from that. You know what I'm saying? And so, my wife has been great because we've been married, like I said, for 26 years. And I've learned a ton, not so much about her, but about me. And one of the beautiful pieces in a relationship that is committed to each other's growth is that you get to rewire each other, because y'all both come into this relationship with messages you got from the culture, messages you got from your broken families about who you are that never got healed. And y'all get to speak completely different narrative into each other's life that completely rehumanizes you into something other than what you've ever been. So that's, to me, what a marriage is. Now, I ain't always passed the test. My marriage has wobbled many times. I hope we make it to the end. I hope that. But whether we make it or not, I can honestly say that I have become a different human being because I've stuck in there at least for 26, 27 years with the same woman every day that has forced me to look at my skeleton and be something other than what I was. Does that shit make sense?
That's I think that's one of the deepest thoughts on relationship I've ever heard, and like one of the biggest concepts I think that people need to hear. People don't hear this, and I think you speak it to a sense of, like, especially as someone who's young and trying to engage in relationship, like, in getting out of one and recognizing like that little process of learning. You saying 26 years of learning, that blew my mind. Like, for me, like.
And let me say this. Look, man, shit, like, marriage is no cure for love.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't no cure for lust. And I always tell young cats, I said, look, you can always get good pussy. Period. You can always get good pussy. But you ain't always going to get a good woman.
Mm-hmm.
And for you women, you can always get good dick. But you ain't always going to get a good man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to you got to remember that, man. When
And
you
for
got
the
a good woman
non-binary
and a good man, you got to hang on to that. Because there's plenty of good pussy out there. And there's plenty of good dick out there. Mm-hmm. But there ain't good men and good women that are committed to this shit that I'm talking about. Sorry to make it that crass and vulgar.
No.
Nah.
Oh no. This is fine. We can do that here.
But y'all said this was kind of like Drink Champs.
This is Drink Champs. Yeah.
Spit your game.
I'm curious. I'm curious because you are Mr. Saucy Casa. You are the youngest person here.
I am, yeah.
And like, me, I'd be talking my shit to you. Yeah. But like, we got 26 years of marriage over here. How does that come off to you? Because you're a young buck.
Yeah, the biggest thing I picked up from that is, you mentioned 26 years of marriage, but you're still like, if we're going to make it to the end, to me, that shows you're still day by day learning new things, adapting every day, new challenges every day. And that really shocked me, where it's like, I don't know, in my head, I guess I had at a certain point, maybe 5-10 years, it all just becomes the same. It just becomes a blur. Maybe after 10 years, I don't know. That's what I had in my mind. But if you're saying, after that many years, it's still each day is something new, a different challenge. You're constantly almost unlocking new levels in a way. That one stuck out for me.
Dude, there was a guy named Robert Jameson when I was like, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, I was like 23, 24. Mm-hmm. And it was a guy that I used to, when I first moved to Florida, he and his wife, and they would always invite me over, right? And I was like in the church, I was a youth pastor, I was practicing celibacy all through my 20s. right? Trying to keep myself morally pure. And I remember sitting on the couch because I would watch home movies with him. Remember, I come from this broken home, so this is my first time being able to see like a married couple. That was like so new to me. I'd never seen husband and wife with kids and they loved each other. That just wasn't my reality. So here was my first time seeing it. And then one night we watched some movies and the kids went to bed, then the wife went to bed, and me and he was together. And I didn't know much about their marriage, but I just started asking questions. I was like, how long have y'all been married? He said 18 years. I'd never been with a woman more than 3 months. And I almost fell out of my chair because I was like, I asked him, I said, 18 years, the same woman. Like,
yeah.
He goes, nah, it's so much more than that, bigger than that. And man, I'm 26 years, like lust gets you in marriage, love keeps you going. It's so much bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? I'm in and out. Is my wife attractive? Yeah. Is she not attractive? Yeah. Am I into her? Yeah. Am I not? Yeah. Not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think you fully understand it until you enter a relationship and you fall in love with the pieces that we've not been trained to the naked eye to see. Because our shit is about titties and ass and, that kind of shit, right? Like that ain't gonna keep a marriage together at all. Like I said, that shit changes quick, right? The energy, the chemicals in your body change. You got to have something much bigger in the relationship than you, and that beats that kind of maturity, and you see it.
It is like really refreshing and depressing because like I really wish when I was about Casa's age, I would have just heard someone of your age and stature, because the crazy thing about it is I got that game from a TV show, like an anime, and I was like, oh, I want that, because that informed a bit of like my practice and a bit of what I do today. I'm like, I want people to where they can see what I do for work, and then eventually when I do find that person, see that this is a real thing, because representation matters. Guys talking about like, yeah, you got to run around, you got to do your things, and then when it's time to settle down, it's time to settle down. That's why what we do here is like very important, and I feel like I'm being replaced at my job, you guys. I feel like Eric's gonna take my job. Like he's saying the things I would say. like if I, I had me a nice Latina, you know what I'm saying? Or Afro Latina, I'll be at the game. Put the banner up, guys. But it's just very I just want to say, just for me, it's just very like beautiful to hear, because you're right. Dudes don't hear that. They hear like, how many bitches you got? What's your roster? What we doing Saturday night? And like, I'm not gonna put my boy on a poster, but we were celebrating one of my friends. We were celebrating one of my friends, and like we were doing like karaoke, and like it was like, man, it'd be nice if we also had other significant people, because this is chill. And like we're getting to the age where I'm like, damn, it's time to pack it up, guys, because it's wild. But I kind of also want to open it up too as well. Not more or less of like what women need to be, or however else identifies with, but just like young men. Like you kind of alluded to it, and we've talked about it before, but like being prepared for a relationship. What do you think, young men? We got 24. We got.
Man, you know what? I'm a big semen retention dude.
Yes, let's go.
I'm a big semen retention dude.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And man, look, I was a hoe in high school. I was an athlete. I hooped. I grew up in LA.
Of course.
Bad babes everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I could hoop. And I used to throw big parties, and and had a big hustle in LA. I was a DJ. I threw a lot of parties. I always tell people, I hooped at Oregon State, but if you go to LA, people know me more for my parties than they did.
Okay.
Real talk. Real talk. And then I at 19, I I became a Christian. I started practicing celibacy
Mhm.
in college at Oregon State.
That's tough.
Yo, for real.
Black athlete,
Tell me
Oregon
shit,
State.
Black athlete at Oregon State.
Not much to do.
That was my sophomore year. My freshman year was bad. I was out there tough.
Capital T.
But I knew I needed, if there was any hope for me to be married, I had to rewire myself. And I needed, part of that was my road down celibacy. That discipline, right? And so I did. I practiced it all through my 20s. Waited till I got married. I became a Christian at 19, and then I got married at 30. I practiced celibacy throughout those 11 years. It was hard as shit. And I used all that sexual tension and energy. I mean, I wrestled with masturbation. I masturbated. And then I stopped masturbating. And I used a lot of that energy into my career, into my creativity. I took all that sexual energy and channeled it into my work. And then when I was 30, I met my wife accidentally. Just being in LA, hanging out at my sister's house on vacation. And that was huge. And like, because my dad, he's on his fourth marriage. I love him to death. But he's on his fourth marriage. My mother, so traumatized by their relationship, she never remarried. My whole 26 years is me brailing like a blind person through my marriage, trying to figure out, putting tools in me that were never put into me by my parents. You know what I'm saying? And so I do shit humbly. So I just say to any cats that are single, they in their 20s, I tell them, man, practice celibacy, semen retention, use that sexual energy, pour it into your fucking creativity, and see what happens down the rabbit hole where your shit can go. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been doing what I do today had I not learned those disciplines in my 20s.
Interesting.
Straight up. And I wanted to separate myself. AC Green, y'all remember, y'all heard AC Green play with the Showtime Lakers?
Yes.
I remember vaguely. No capping over here for me.
He was like, when I first became a Christian, he was the one that was like, he's the one that put me on this whole thing. It's like, bro, it'll change your life. And I started practicing. It was the hardest shit because we're sexual beings. You know what I mean? Like, and God created sex, and it's a beautiful thing. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? But for us to be able to get that shit under control and channel that into other kind of energy, it's hard as men.
You know what? I appreciate the radical honesty over here on the show today because
I want to talk about it all.
Exactly. We have to play on that. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a bando. I'm gonna keep it a bando. What he's saying, I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely prescribed to some semen retention. Like I'm gonna say, I made it without masturbation.
Yeah.
For 6 months. I'm not gonna lie. Wow. I felt like the Kool-Aid man at 6 months. I was gonna come through a wall. That's how I felt. Like I'll say this, when I busted on days 6 months. Let me tell you, the power that left my body. I said, like it was like a He-Man transformation. Like it was that powerful. But like, I only had a Costco sample, so I could only imagine 10 years of not doing that, and then because I'll just say this. The mindset where my mind was like, it's like crazy because we had a show in here because we were kind of like talking about them and what do you call it? I forgot. Cos, we were talking about like the balance of like having like semen retention and right.
I believed in more of a balance. Yeah.
I remember that.
And you know what? I here's the deal. I don't think it's a zero sum game.
Mhm.
I do think there's a balance to it. I don't want you. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean,
All about control.
Yeah,
I think
it's about
I think the biggest point is like being able to control yourself through all aspects and all situations is the most important, because once you're able to control yourself in that specific drive situation, which is a heavy situation, you're able to control yourself in a tough situation, you're able to control yourself in a sad situation, you're able to control yourself in any other situation because you understand how to control yourself. And so I think what you talk about, it might not even be specific to the whole concept of semen retention, which I think can be very important, especially to young sex drive men, especially like, at that age. But for me, it hit like bigger than that. Like it hit bigger than that. Being able to just learn about yourself on a deeper level, touching your soul, and just being able to look like you can control you if you want to.
And the crazy thing about it is that what you're saying, what unlocked me, I think it was like when I was 26, 27, learning the power of saying no to a girl, where I'm like, oh, it's not like buying a drink where like, oh, like, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, or aren't you a man? Yeah, but I'm a man who doesn't want to do this.
Mhm.
And no, I don't want to do this. And like, I feel like in our culture, there's a lot of pressure to like, I'm supposed to do this because this was a man supposed to do, where I like that power of being able to tell not just a woman, just anyone in general, just like, no, whether I don't know how it's supposed to be, how it looks. So I appreciate you saying that. That just reminded me of like, I forgot who invoked it, but I was like, I gotta start saying no to stuff that I'm uncomfortable with. Like that doesn't make me less of a man.
And bro, so much of our success is, I always tell, as a mentor, I tell people your success is in your ability to say no, not yes. There's gonna be a lot of shit, a lot of temptation under for you to say yes to.
I do. Well, my goodness, there are so many clippable things in this episode today. Mama, I'm sorry, but it's a good sorry, because I'll at least just say for me, because they have their own minds, because this is our thing, this is what we do together. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming on. Like,
my pleasure.
I just can't express how much gratitude I have for you, my man. I appreciate you spending and taking that time.
Man, you guys are awesome. You made it easy, fun, comfortable. I said more shit than I thought I was going to say. But I only know how to be my authentic self.
That's real.
I'm not with the bullshit.
Hey, this is what this show's all about.
Absolutely. Again, like, it's been a pleasure getting to know you from a different side, because I've only known you from the basketball side of things, and then like going against you and working in that aspect, and then just like being able to just tap in with your mind. Your mind is so vibrant, like it's so vibrant, and there's so much in there that I think this was an opportunity for people just to see you, and it's been nothing but like opening, man. It's a blessing actually getting to have this real authentic conversation, man. It's been fun, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for me, I love a good storyteller, and you're so good at storytelling. So for me, it was just, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing
the painting. So the painting story, that was
all good. No, it was all good, honestly.
Well, I forgot to do so many name drops, but hey, RJ, not gonna lie, this is a job. Let me tell you, working this board, I was clapping. I pushed the clap button during like a sad moment. I was like, God damn. I said, well, hopefully, all right. Hopefully I can edit it out.
Yeah.
But once again, this is the Play No Games podcast. And if you haven't, or you don't know, two major things. One, I'll open that AOD vault. If you click right now at the end of the video, because I always do at the end of the video.
Right now, clip it.
Clip it right now. That's an extra vote to win some stuff. I thought I forgot, but I didn't. But more importantly, big thanks and big shout outs to you, Eric, and I appreciate you having on. And this has been the Play No Game podcast, and I'm going to pass it to AJ.
So he always forgets to do this at the end of the show. You gotta let the people know how they.
Oh yeah.
How can they reach out to you? How can they find you? Where can they find Eric Knox?
I mean, you can find the organization, and the organization find me.
There you go.
So you can go to Holla Mentors on our IG channel or Holla School and message if you want to get a hold of it. Or you can catch me on Facebook, right? I'm like that old school dude, right?
Old uncle.
You can friend me, message me. I'm probably going to have my assistant reach out to you if you want to connect. I got too much shit on my plate, right? But
I've talked to her. She's a lovely person.
Find out about my work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or you can go to TTG, which is Train to Go, which is our Benson girls basketball channel on IG. And so if you want to get at me through those channels. That's it.
Wow. This has been another thrilling installment of the Play No Games podcast. I'm your boy Rob.
I'm Toss.
And I'm Arthur. And we out. Peace.
Probably wondering if I think of you. Sorry, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, I'm for the bag right now. Yeah, for the bag that I never had. Yeah, you probably mad right now. Yeah, I got a 2-piece now. Shit, I think they call them groupies now.